In our video, we're going to take you through some of the basics of Autodesk Inventor. This particular version is 2022, but so far the last few years have been pretty similar as far as this video would go. So the very first thing we're going to do is let's just get Inventor set up. I'm going to go up here and say Tools, and I'm going to say Application Options. All right, there's really a couple of things. We have really been using Fusion. What we want to do is kind of keep some of those similarities for us, all right? So I went up there to Tools and I said Application Options, right? And now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say Sketch. I'm going to go to the Sketch tab right here. And now the things I want to click that'll make this look more like Fusion. I want to make sure under Display, I want to make sure all four of these are checked. Okay, make sure all four of those are checked. I also want to go ahead and check down here where it says Snap to Grid. I want to make sure that that is also checked. All right, those things are pretty important for us. Now, before I hit Apply, I probably should go down here and I should go back into where it says Colors. Now, what we're doing here is it's giving me a chance to pick how the screen is going to look. All right, and you all have your different preferences. Like you can kind of click through those and see which ones you like. You know, you can do whatever you need to do there. For me, this deep blue seems to show up best on our display board, so I usually leave it at that. So really for now, that's all we have to do, just to kind of get us similar to what we're used to. So I'll go ahead now and I'll click Apply. For the first few times that we do anything in Inventor, we're going to be in Part. We will move to Assembly pretty quickly. All of these other things we will use, but right now we're really focused on parts in this video, just how to do some basic commands. So I want to click Part, and it's going to load up the Inventor screen. I'll go up here to Start 2D Sketch. I'll click there, and this should start looking familiar. Really would benefit us to click on this XY plane. It's just like any other CAD program we use. You have to click a workspace or a plane. So I'm going to click the XY. It really benefits you to start there. All right, we'll just start with some basic extrusion. So I'm going to take a rectangle. I'll start over here on the origin. And I'll just draw a rectangle. And you can see I can dimension that as I want to. And now I'll go ahead and hit E for extrude. And then I can dimension it. Or I can drag the arrow just like Fusion. So there's that. Already taken care of one part. Now let's say we want to get a little more challenging. We'll go back to Start 2D Sketch. We'll pick whatever side we want to draw on. Maybe this time I'll choose a circle. And we've done this before and when we were messing around with Fusion, right? So just a quick rundown. So I've got some circles. I'll go ahead and hit E, or I can hit Finish Sketch, right? Either way is going to give me the same results. I'll press E because that's what I'm used to doing. I can move this box out of the way and then I can click all of those circles. All right, let's do one more. So I'll hit Start 2D Sketch and I'll click another side. And I can draw, here's like the line tool, right? Just like in Fusion. I can draw, you know, just basic or irregular polygons, however you want to look at it. I'll go ahead and hit Extrude on this one. So E, and there it is. It's ready to go. Now, let's talk about how to put like an extruded cut in there. So same process, Start 2D Sketch, pick whatever side that I'm going to draw on, draw the shape or shapes. Now I'll hit E for extrude, or I could hit Finish Sketch. Same concept, I'll go ahead and click these areas. Now I could drag the arrow just like I could before. So I could do that, or I could come down here. Here is Cut. So there's a joint button, there's a cut button. And we can flip the directions as well if I need to do that. We look at advanced properties here too, and I can also throw a taper on this. All right, so let's do one more and let me show you what that taper looks like, because we did find that tapered extrusions were kind of helpful. So let's see here. I'll just take a simple one here, a circle, and I'll extrude that. But this time I'll use taper. Now remember, by default, that advanced properties is not going to show, so you have to expand it. So for taper, let's put like a 3 on there. You can see how it did indeed taper that. Let's make it a little bigger so it's a little more noticeable. There we go. All right, so those are your basic extrusions. I want to show you how to do a revolve now. So I'm just going to close this one, and I'm not going to save. So again, I'll go up here to Part, Start 2D Sketch, and I'll choose that XY plane. You want to really get in the habit. That's probably the best one to choose, is your XY plane. Now I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to draw, let's draw like a Yeti cup. So I'll start in the origin, I'll come up here. Remember, on a revolution, we're just drawing half the shape. And it does something like this. Alright, so it's like I stuck a pencil right down the middle of the Yeti cup for an axis, and then I drew the other half. So I can hit Finish Sketch, or because I'm going to revolve, I can press the R key and it'll take me straight to it. But here's Revolve. So I'll click that, and really all I've got to do is click this straight up vertical line. And it'll go ahead and revolve it for me. So then I can just hit OK. There's our outside of the Yeti. But let's do that shell thing, right? Remember, we've shelled things before. So on Inventor, shell is right here. There's shell. There's fillet. Here's chamfer, actually. If we downplay on the fillet, there's other kinds of fillet types. All right. So we'll just click shell, and I'll click the inside of the cup. And then I just need to change the thickness to whatever I want it to be. And I really just need to pick something that's going to fit, right? All right. So now when I rotate that, you can see that we've created the Yeti. So that's a revolve and a shell. Let's go ahead and talk about how to do holes in Inventor. Holes are a pretty big skill that we need to use as well, and we found that out with Fusion. So here I am going to throw a few dimensions in. Let me zoom this thing out a little bit so we can actually see. For the top one, it says 0.813. I'm going to actually just make that 3. Then I can press the Tab key, and that'll take me over to the other one, to the other dimension. So this one I'll just make 1. All right, and then we can use our navigation panel over here, right? That should look familiar. All right, we'll go ahead and extrude this block, though. I'll hit Finish Sketch and just go up to Extrude. And I'll just keep the 1 inch this time. So I got something like this. So I'll hit Start 2D Sketch here. What I like to do is actually use the point. So I come up here and say point. Then I can find that midpoint again, right? I mean, there's that green dot. And I'll come over here and say, all right, there's a point. You can barely see it, but it sure is there. So it looks like it's right in here, that little plus sign right there. All right, so I'll go ahead now and I'll just hit Finish Sketch. And now you can probably see it a little more clearly. And I'll just say hole and see how it already locates it there. So here's a couple of differences. We can actually take these arrows here and we can click those and kind of, you can see over here on the left side, as I drag that arrow, those numbers are going to change. All right, so I can make that go all the way through. If I need the board to be a little bit less, I could do that. I could also click here and move the entire thing. Okay, and then up here, you know, just like Fusion, here's simple, clearance, all that kind of stuff. Tapped, we can thread it, counter bore, spot face, and counter sink, right? And we can come down here to termination, and we can actually specify the results, right? So we can come in here, we can click every one of these boxes. So maybe instead of 0.75 in diameter, it needs to be 0.5. And for our depth of the countersink, maybe it just needs to be pretty skinny there, 0.125. And then our depth I could adjust. And here's the diameter of the small hole itself. But you can see we can pretty well do anything we want to, just like we could with Fusion on holes. So let's take a look at Coil. We'll go ahead and do the same kind of setup. I'm going to put a circle on the screen. I'll make it 0.125, I suppose. And then I'll take a line tool and just start at the origin, and I'm just drawing a line. The length on this doesn't really matter. Then I'll hit Finish Sketch. So I've got a circle and a line. I will go right here to Coil, and then I'll click the line. So let me hit OK so you can see what we're up to. That's what we're making. A coil is a spring, right? So let's get back to this. So I've still got my circle and my line. I'll go ahead and hit Coil, and I'll click the line. A few variables here are pitch. For our method, we probably do want to use pitch and revolution. I would encourage you to try out spiral too. That's kind of neat. There are different variables, and there are different times and places where we need those. But pitch and revolution, for my pitch, if I make that 0.5, so I made it bigger, it stretches it out. Right? If I make it smaller, then it's going to compact it a little more. For revolutions, right now I've only got 5. The default, I think, is usually just 1. So you probably want to put at least 5 in there just so you can see what's happening. And then here's a taper angle again. So we could taper a coil. I'm going to put like a 15 in here just so we can see it. And then I'll hit OK. So now when we look at that, we move that coil to it's almost right on top of each other, and we tapered it too. Okay. If I don't like it, I can just hit the undo button. Let me rotate that back around. I remember, so coil, I've got a circle and a line, so I'll click the line, and then I can change my variable. So this one I'm not going to taper. And you know what? For pitch and revolution, I'm going to go ahead and try spiral this time. Let's just see what it does. This is telling me that it's going to overlap each other. So what I need to do is cancel that, and let's try this one more time. I'll click the line, and instead of a pitch at 0.125, let me try a 0.25. I just made it bigger is what I did. And now it can coil it. Right? All kinds of cool stuff. Now, it's the same process, so let me show you something else here. Let's just say I want to use the coil, but I want to make something completely different. So maybe I want to make, I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to choose polygon. Do you see how I did that? There's rectangle. There's 2-point rectangle like we're used to. There's 2-point center rectangle. And here's polygon. So we've used a polygon. I'll come over here and I'll say, you know what? Let's just make a polygon here. And I'll hit done. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'll just come down here. This on the line, it doesn't have to be on the origin. It does help things though. So I've made a polygon and a line this time. I'll go to coil. Same setup. So I'm clicking there. Instead of spiral, let me do more of the custom, like a pitch and revolution. That's what we're used to. And let's hit OK. So you can see there it coiled the hexagon, didn't it? We can coil pretty well any closed off shape. It's a pretty neat little process. Let me close that off and let's move into a sweep. Alright, so we'll start 2D sketch. Let's take a line, put it right smack there on the origin, and I'll just make it like 0.25. I'm going to hit finish sketch. Now over here, when we've done this a little bit, see origin? There's some of those planes, right? So to do a sweep, I need something that's going to run perpendicular. So YZ would work, XZ would work, XY would not work. So I'm going to just take the XZ here. I'll right click on it and say new sketch. So from here, we've actually done sweeps before. I'm just going to take a line tool and just create a path for it. Once I'm done, I'll hit finish sketch. So I've got a circle with the tail. Now notice I'm in the features menu. Here's sweep. So I'll click sweep. It already takes the circle for me, and then I'll just click the path. And then I can hit OK. And now I've swept. Right? And I could come back through here and shell it if I wanted to hollow it out a little bit. So you can see we've got like a little tunnel running all the way through there too. Let's talk Loft. I've kind of shown you Loft, but Loft allows us to do some pretty unique things. So I'm going to just come in here and I'll take a circle and I'll go 0.5 this time, and I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to keep it paper thin. I'll say like 0.1. Right, now we'll get more into work planes later, but here's how they go. You go up here to plane. You're going to click the face of that, and actually you're going to click the face of that and just kind of drag it out somewhere. You can specify distance too. Now I'll hit sketch, and I'll come over here and I'll actually click on the plane I drew. This time, I'm going to change my polygon back to a rectangle, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle way up here. And I'll hit finish sketch. So you can see I got a circle and a square. So now I'll go to Loft right here. I'll click the face of the circle, and then I'll click the square I drew. And then I'll hit OK. So lofting allows us to really put multiple shapes together. Now I could even come in here and do a little more with it. So I'll hit plane. I'll click and hold that, and I'll drag one way up here. And I'll go to Start 2D Sketch again. And this time I'm going to take and put a circle over here. Notice this plane, I got the entire workspace I can draw, and I don't have to keep it inside the lines. I'll finish sketch, and this time I'm going to do the same. I'll loft. I'll click this space here, and then I'll click the circle I drew. After that, I'll click OK. And you can see that we've created just some unique stuff. Lofting allows us to do some pretty advanced things.